Peace and good evening. This is Phoenix Black, the Black Health Advocate, with another episode of Heal Black People. This is episode 6, and tonight we are discussing the obesity and depression connection. You may have tuned in a few moments ago. I had a very huge technical issue. Basically, my computer had just completely locked up. Hopefully, that doesn't happen again tonight. Will happen again. Usually before I even go on with the live stream, I make sure that I completely shut down my computer and just reboot it, fresh reboot and everything. And today I didn't do that. And I'm thinking that's probably why it locked up like it did. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. We'll see. Okay. Peace. I'm back. I just was wanting to share that little intro just to give you a little gist of what we're talking about tonight. And again, if you were following me or tuning in before, I apologize about the technical issue, but let's get on with it. And tonight, as I said before, I had found this online. Just know that I'm going to be using basically depression and mental illness interchangeably. They're not the same thing in that mental illness encompasses various forms of mental illness, whether that be depression, anxiety, what else is there? OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, bipolar disorder, dissociative personality disorder. There's several different mental illnesses out there. Of course, depression is just one of many, but we're going to mainly be talking about depression tonight. So that's why the title of this episode is the obesity and oppression. Yeah, that too. No, the obesity and depression connection. Okay, let's get off into it. And in our community, especially within the Black community, there's such a social stigma about mental illness. No one really wants to talk about it. It's something you shouldn't talk about, even maybe as a child. Say if you had something that happened to you, maybe you were discouraged from talking about it, or maybe someone in your family or close to you just say, hey, don't say anything about that. Keep that to yourself. I've also often heard, take that with you to the grave and don't tell anyone. But I heard something on when I was listening. Actually, I was listening to, who was I listening to? I think I was listening to The Breakfast Club today, actually. And someone that was a guest on the show, he said something very profound in that he said, you can't heal what you don't reveal. And I believe it was originally a Jay-Z quote, but this person was quoting Jay-Z. But just remember that you can't heal what you don't reveal. And there's so many underlying causes for depression and other mental illnesses. There's a biological reasons, there's environmental reasons, in other words, how you grew up, your family. There's genetic reasons. There's also very much biological or, basically biological reasons, because it may have something to do with the hormonal imbalance. It could be some type of deficiency in some type of nutrient in your body, which we're going to address as well in this episode tonight. But we just really need to kick that stigma, and especially within our community. I believe that's one of the many things that are hurting our community, because there's so many things that we do address a lot, but there's a lot that we don't address. And a lot of times we don't, we may complain or vent about an issue, but we don't try to really dig deeper to find out the root cause of why we're dealing with what we're dealing with. And in this case, obesity. And here just is as you know, I get a lot of these graphics online from various websites. This is asking, what is the relationship? Which way do the arrows go? In other words, that, stress, if you have enough stress, it can cause depression, which can cause obesity. Stress can also cause obesity, which can lead to depression as well. Basically, stress, as if you followed my other episodes, stress is caused by a hormone called cortisol. And whenever cortisol is raised, your blood glucose or your blood sugar is also elevated. It just causes all sorts of. It depends on especially if it's like a negative response to stress, it can cause all sorts of chaos within your body that that you may or may not be aware of. Depression is one of those things, especially if you're, of course, depression, and of course, you're going to be stressed out. That's just one of the parts of it. Now, what you're actually stressed out with depression can vary. For some people, when it comes to depression, they don't have to be it doesn't have to be necessarily a sad event per se. Whenever someone is depressed, it just feels like everything is weighing in on them. It's not just some, one particular event. It could be something very small, or something that may seem like it's very small to most of us that don't deal with depression, but to someone that's depressed or that is dealing with depression, it may be magnified times 10. And a lot of this is because of just some of the things that are going on with their body on a biological level, and just some of the things that may be off hormonally, and environment as well. So we're going to get off into some of that tonight. Here we're talking about obesity's impact on health. Just know that whenever you're dealing with obesity, and this is kind of one of those what came first, the chicken or the egg arguments, because whenever you're in a depressed state of mind, or you're experiencing anxiety, any of these issues that are shown here, helplessness, lack of motivation, stigma, isolation, self-consciousness, you're not in the best state of mind to really care for your body the best. Because most of the time when you feel like crap, you eat crap, you want to lay in bed, you don't want to move, you're not motivated to really do anything when you don't feel good. And, you don't, and some people don't eat at all. It doesn't affect everyone the same way, because some people, when they're really depressed, they don't eat. I've experienced both ends of the expression. I've experienced times myself, because myself, I don't have like, and that's another caveat to it too. While I don't have major depressive disorder, because that's what it is when people are depressed all the time, or a good portion of the time, and they may have to take some type of medication or some other intervention to manage it. Whenever I've had depression in my own life, there was usually some event that happened in my life that I guess propelled me towards that direction, that caused me to be depressed, whether it may have been job loss of income, maybe a broken relationship, a death in the family. Those type of things, can throw you into a mental illness, or some other type of, or even depression. But in my case, so yeah, usually it was some type of event that happened in my life that caused me to be depressed. But I can't really say that I've ever been depressed just because. Usually in my case, whenever I've had bouts of depression, it was because of something that actually happened. But for some people, and I know there's people that are close to me that deal with this. For some people, depression is an everyday thing for them. They just have to figure out, how to manage, or they are managing it in some form or fashion. What's bad is when you have depression and you don't know that you have it, and you don't know how to manage it, and you don't have any type of plan, I guess supports or plan of action as to how to manage it. But yes, this is how obesity can impact your health, because whenever you are dealing with obesity, most people that deal with obesity also have poor self-image, and whenever and not only poor self-image, but poor self-worth. So whenever you have those things, you may, it may keep you up at night. You may have anxiety. You may not be motivated to do anything about it. Or sometimes whenever you're dealing with, say if especially if you're obese, you may feel like your body is so far gone that there's no turning back for you. And that can be depressing, because I've even dealt with that. As I've shared before, I've spent years and years really just struggling to lose weight, and I would seem like I would just gain and lose the same 25 pounds over and over again, or just go through a period where I wasn't really losing much of anything, despite, eating right to the best of my ability, or to the best of my knowledge, and, working out. But there were other things going on with my body that I had to address as well. For one, in my case, I wasn't sleeping well, and I definitely had some issues with, I probably had some unresolved issues that I needed to address as well, that now I would say I'm the upside on, because I'm actually addressing those things. But let's move on. Okay, we're going to talk about the depression obesity cycle. And I found this on this is from steadyhealth.com. I thought it was a great illustration of this process because I've seen this in myself at times and even in other people. Obesity increases the risk of depression. Depression has also been found to trigger obesity. A connection between childhood obesity and depression often forms at a young age and continues into adulthood. The depression obesity cycle is further strengthened through comfort eating, sleeping problems, and loss of self-esteem. Because again, that goes back to, like I said, when you don't look good, you don't feel, and you know you don't look your best, and you know it's a trickle effect. Body image dissatisfaction is a particularly serious problem among women, and there's no explanation needed there. I mean, there's constant societal pressures for women to look perfect, be perfect, everything else. Let's go into the next here. And this slide here just addresses very well, graphic, I should say. It just drops some statistics about obesity. Um, 55% of people that are obese often are, well, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. 55% higher risk of depression among obese people. I definitely believe that because most people, you know what, because most of the people that I know that are depressed are also dealing with a weight issue. Not saying that they're all obese, but they may be overweight. But the thing is, if you see yourself getting kind of, if you see your weight getting out of hand and you're not feeling your best and you suspect that you may have depression, definitely have that addressed and looked into. Because simply, as far as being diagnosed or with depression, if I recall, because I know I have a loved one that's dealt with this personally. Basically, they're going to ask you some questions and just kind of see where you're at as far as your mental well-being. And then if you I think if you hit so many criteria, if you qualify by there's a criteria that they use for it. But once you hit that criteria, or if you meet that criteria, I should say, you may be diagnosed with major depressive disorder, or it may just be a thing where you're just going through a rough patch, but something that you can come out on the other side of. Because there's different severities to depression. So, also notice this other statistic which says 70% of people with obstructive sleep apnea are overweight or obese. And that goes on to say, too, I'll add this on. Whenever you're having problems with sleeping, your mental health and your metabolism are both affected. So it really is in all of our best interest to get as much sleep as possible. But I will be addressing sleep in another episode. Impacts of depression. And this just shows the impacts of the depression's short-term and long-term consequences. Interpersonal, which can cause marital problems with your significant other. It can also cause academic problems. And this is one thing that, especially if you have a student, especially a college student, that you should be aware of. And again, this can either be caused by an event in their life, which could be moving away from home to go to school, or just the pressure of going to school, period. Or they may, actually have a major depressive disorder as well. But at any rate, it does, it can impact a child or a, college student academically, because you're so, depression is just like you're so, you're just so focused on, I guess, being depressed, or that's like that just becomes the main focus of your day, of how you're feeling and the lack of motivation and all the symptoms and issues that come along with it, that you're not really thinking about your grades or your assignments and exams and all that stuff. And it can also cause occupational problems as well, simply because, if you're dealing with depression at work, your mind is focused on that. It's not really going to be focused on, I have this deadline to meet, or, I need to get this done today. You're not focused on what's happening at work. You're focusing on that depression. And even when you're trying to focus at work, you're still going to have your mind on that, whatever's, I guess bothering you, or just not feeling well, not feeling your best to perform your best. Also another thing that was real, especially again, if you're a younger person, Whenever you're dealing with depression, you are more likely to engage in riskier behaviors like substance abuse. Another thing that people with depression that's not talked about a lot too, that people with depression deal with, is other addictive behaviors. Like you may want to, you may develop a gambling addiction. You may develop a sex addiction. There's other when risky, whenever people talk about risky behaviors or addiction, it's not always drugs. It's just basically, pick your poison, and, anything done outside of moderation but done in excess, that's an addiction. So it doesn't have to necessarily be drugs. Comorbidity. And other existing conditions, as I said before, you may have depression and anxiety. You may have suicidal tendency or thoughts. Again, definitely if you're having any of these, especially if it's ongoing and it feels like you can't shake it, talk to someone, seek out help. Hopefully others that are around you will notice what's going on and be a sympathetic ear and help you get the help that you need. Also obesity, that's, how it affects the body on a physical level. There's other things that go on with your body too when you're depressed, but that's one of, obesity is one of many. It's just basically what's going on the inside being reflected outwardly. So you definitely need to watch that, because obesity, not only can depression lead to obesity, as I showed in a previous graphic, but it can also lead to other health issues because of the obesity or because of the depression. And now we're going to get into we're going to get off into some of the things that can actually help you in dealing with depression or other mental health issues. I wanted to basically give you a brief, but, definitely necessary understanding of what depression and mental healthness and mental health issues are, and what they can encompass, and what it does to your body. But I also want to discuss solutions, because I think that's what most people are needing to know. What can they do about it from a holistic standpoint, especially because not everyone wants to take medication. One thing you definitely have to take consideration about mental health, especially with depression and other disorders. Sometimes sometimes it's not a matter of if the medications will stop working, it's when the medications will stop working, because you can, like, whenever you're taking, say for instance, if you're taking an antidepressant, at some point your body may stop responding to it. And sometimes, and I was discussing this with someone recently, whenever you get diagnosed with, major depressive disorder or some type of other mental health illness, and you're prescribed a medication, you really need to research the pharmacology of that medication, because with some medications, and this is just across the board with prescription drugs, period, and well, actually anything that or even supplements. So, but with some medications, you can't drink anything with it. Like with some medications, you can't drink like a citrus, like orange juice, like citrus juices, orange juice. Some drugs you definitely can't take grapefruit juice with. Not saying that's like that with antidepressants, but just look into the pharmacology of whatever you're taking and really research that heavily. Find out the side effects, find out what you can eat with it, find out what you can drink with it, find out if certain medications will block the effectiveness of that, whatever you're taking. Me personally, I really prefer a more holistic approach when it comes to taking any kind of medication. In other words, I feel or lean more on the side of just trying to eat your best and take, nutritional supplements such as vitamin C, D, or whatever, or herbal supplements as needed to manage that issue. Because I believe that, that nature or whatever's natural is usually better for you. But that's my perspective, that, but just do your research and find out whatever, therapy or whatever intervention works best for you. But personally, I prefer the natural approach. However, if you are going to go with the prescription drugs to help you manage it as well, you definitely want to look into pharmacology of it, just to see how, just to do your research on it, basically. And one of the things, and this is a natural approach right here, one of the things that can improve your mental health and especially depression as well is physical activity. For me personally, I know last year when I just really made up my mind, okay, I'm going to get this weight off, I'm going to start doing my research or whatever. But one of the physical things I was doing is that at some point, well, I think during the summer months, I actually started walking at the lake. I have a beautiful lake near my home. And, I was just getting out in the sun, getting some vitamin D, because actually vitamin D deficiency can also cause or worsen depression. So if you're depressed, definitely look into getting your vitamin D checked. It wouldn't hurt you, because most people that I think there is a correlation between vitamin D deficiency and depression. Look into that. Do your own research. Don't just take my word for it, but definitely look into that. And being physically active. Being physically active protects against mental health problems, or definitely improves them. Decreases depression, reduces the symptoms of postnatal depression or postpartum blues, is as effective as medication for mild to moderate anxiety and depression, improves self-esteem and cognitive function in young people. I think it does that for everyone across the board, not just young people. Playing sports also reduces psychological stress by 34% if done 1 to 3 times per week, and 47% if done 4 times or more weekly. That's really good to know. And I definitely can vouch for that myself. I feel that, especially when whenever I walk around the lake, especially if because the lake that I walk around, if I do the whole 9 miles of the lake, whenever I get done, I just have such a sense of accomplishment, and just simply being out in nature. I don't care what time of year it is for me personally, but especially like during the spring months or whenever the sun is out, because you have to remember too that certain processes within our bodies respond very well to natural sunlight. Because natural sunlight also controls your circadian rhythms, which again I've addressed this in other videos, which is your biological clock. But yes, natural sunlight, it definitely helps regulate your circadian rhythms, so that you know when to be up and when you need to go to bed, and when you need to eat. It also helps, like for instance, vitamin D. You can eat different foods that have vitamin D in them, or that have more vitamin D in them than other foods, but it's also good to get vitamin D from direct sunlight. And I think they said that all it really takes, well, I take that back. If you are black, because we have more melanin, for us, we have to be out in the sun longer, actually. I think they said for us, it's good for us if we're out in the sun for 45 minutes or more. Do your own research on that, but I'm pretty sure it's like 30 to 45 minutes of direct sunlight is great for us, because it helps us, to avoid vitamin D deficiency. But not only that, but if you feel like you may be, just look into the symptoms, and we'll discuss it in later episodes, but look into the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. If they apply to you, get on a vitamin D supplement. I take, and vitamins D supplement, D3 supplements specifically, don't worry about D2, but typically most of us definitely need vitamin D3 supplements. So looking at that, and like I said again, just look at the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency and see if that falls in line, see if that just if it's what you have or what you're dealing with. And but also keep in mind too that a lot of the symptoms of vitamin D deficiency may be symptoms of other things too. So, because a lot of this stuff has similar symptoms. But if you address them from every angle, you'll have I think you should have a better outcome with that. But on to the next slide here. Okay, 12 mental benefits of exercise. Okay. Exercise will make you feel better. Exercising releases endorphins, making you feel happy and positive about yourself. Do we all want that? I know I do. And I can definitely vouch for that, because it's definitely helped me in that area. Okay, overall mood booster. Exercising regularly will release tension. This translates into solved problems with depression and stress. I can definitely, and especially with me, like whenever I do weights, I realized that whenever I get done doing weights or strength training, I feel so relaxed, especially if I do it in the evening, because that's usually when I work out in the evening. It's just the way my schedule, way of life is right now. But especially when I do it in the evening, I'm like so relaxed and ready for bed after I do a strength training session. Um, with cardio, I feel very energetic. I'm still kind of key because again, I do this in the evening. I still feel pretty energetic after a cardio session, but I feel like I'm still like I'm rested, like I've done something. And it goes on the next one here, confidence. When you exercise and relieve that tension while taking care of yourself, you can't help but to be proud of your accomplishments. Again, like when I do the 9 miles at the lake, and I don't always do 9 miles. Sometimes I just do 5. Sometimes I do 7. But it helps your body have a high pain tolerance. Exercise can make you sore sometimes. At first, it might be horrible, but after it happens a few times, you learn how to deal with it. This leads to an overall increase in your pain threshold. I could believe that because whenever you're dealing with the weights, but you just want to be very careful, and you may even want to be supervised by a professional trainer when you first try out weights. You're going to have some pain and soreness. That is to be expected, but it shouldn't be just terribly bad. That's why you may want to like work with a trainer the first few times around. But once you get it, you still might have some, especially as you increase in the amount that you lift when you're lifting weights and so forth. It's to be expected as your body adjusts through the process. Work to improve your brain power. Exercise causes your body to create more brain cells and connections. This means your brain becomes more powerful and has a greater capacity for learning. I could definitely vouch for that because it seems like since I've been exercising a lot more again and definitely eating right, especially the nutrition component of it all, I do feel like that I have better clarity about a lot of things. I'm able to think through more. I'm able to think more strategically about things. So that's definitely helped me there. So it's not only that exercise only helps improve your mental health, it also improves your cognitive function. And we're going to get into more things, like especially some supplements that help with that as well. But let me go on to the next one. Improves your character. Sticking to an exercise routine will help you develop the qualities of discipline, dedication, and determination. That's true. Self-discipline, because it definitely takes, I will say you develop self-discipline when you get in the habit of exercising on a regular basis. It may not come to you naturally, but you will develop it. Exercise can help with addiction recovery. And this goes back to having a positive outlet as well, because I was discussing this with someone recently. A lot of times, especially when you're dealing with mental health issues, a lot of times people that deal with mental health issues, they lack a positive outlet. Or they forget that they have one, so that when they're dealing with their mental health issue, or they feel like, they're being triggered, they have a positive outlet to go to and to work through that, that difficult time until they feel like, okay, I'm at a better place now. It also helps to combat depression. Depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain. Exercise induces happy chemicals to be produced more abundantly. Fitness reduces anxiety. Using your energy in an effective way helps you to relax better. That's definitely true. Okay. Ever heard of a runner's high? That's right. Vigorous exercise can make you feel great. That's true. I can't even talk. Again, I can't talk tonight. Concentration. Exercise can boost your concentration and mental awareness. That's true as well. Especially if you are able to work out in the mornings. Because me personally, I miss being able to work out in the morning. It's just that now, it's just that since I'm really trying to work on, for a while actually, I'm trying to get more sleep in. So that's why I don't work out in the mornings, so that I can get more sleep. It will more interrupted sleep, throughout the night and, into the morning hours. So I don't work out in the mornings. And on top of that, I have an 8 to 5 job and, the commute and everything else. So I made a choice not to work out in the mornings. However, I do work out in the mornings on the weekends typically. But It definitely, if you do it at the beginning of the day, it definitely boosts your concentration. You feel like you get that mental clarity that you need just to get through your day. And we are going to talk about different methods of managing, well, different ways to manage depression. Again, and this is kind of goes hand in hand. Mental health and depression, well, just basically depression is a form of mental illness, but this can probably apply to other mental health issues as well. Again, that goes back to number one, goes back to physical activity, which is going for a walk, go for a run, bicycle ride, swimming, whatever you enjoy. And another thing with physical activity, it doesn't have to be necessarily walking. It doesn't have to be aerobics class. It's just whatever you do for fun that gets you moving. For instance, I live in a city, so I've often thought about, and I've done it before, but I thought, I need to do it more often. Just walking through downtown and just sightseeing and walking around, because you would be amazed, even if you just walk around a mall, especially wear a pedometer and just walk around a mall and check out different stores. You would be amazed at how much walking and how many steps you get in just simply walking around an entire mall. You may easily get in 2 to 3 miles just doing that alone. So that definitely, that's a way to deal with depression or any other mental illness you have. It's going to give you, I think once you see how many steps you've done, and have that sense of accomplishment, it's just going to keep you going. That's why I suggest that people should get some type of fitness tracker, because it just helps you, it keeps you accountable, but also makes you feel good when you know that you're hitting your goals. Change your diet. We're going to get into this in a second. Eat a balanced diet with many antioxidant rich foods like berries, red and orange vegetables. Meditate. That's something that I haven't really done. I need to do is meditate more. And that's just like, even if you just sit in still quietness, listening, you can listen to calming music, whatever just finding your zen. I do know that when I do go for a walk at the lake, something, just, it feels like that is, in a sense, that is my form of meditation. But ideally, whenever you're meditating, you're supposed to be sitting still. But find something that works for you. But that's definitely the one that I know I need to work on more myself, which is meditation. Take your vitamins. Not only should you be taking, I would just change this to take your nutritional supplements, because there are herbal supplements that also help with depression. There's also minerals and other things that, increasing your mineral intake, especially magnesium, that helps manage depression or improve depression as well. Turn off your screens, like now. Turn off your, or even put them on a different, actually, let me explain this. Okay. Like on your mobile devices, your TVs, your PCs, all of that, your monitors emit blue light. Blue light keeps you up, and it kicks in. It keeps your melatonin from kicking in. That tells you that you need to go to sleep. So if you're not getting, if that blue light, if you like right now, my room is bright because I'm doing this live stream. But when I get ready to go to bed, I need to, turn off all my lights or turn them down, and definitely not have any blue light emitting, because as long as my monitors and my mobile devices are emitting blue light, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And my melatonin is not going to kick in a timely fashion to let me know that, hey, your body needs to get prepared for rest. So, and that, again, and that goes back to when you don't get enough sleep, that also it can worsen. You can develop depression or make it even worse. So that's another way to manage depression there. It really should just say get sleep, but basically that leads to it. Visit friends. A lot of times when people are depressed or dealing with other mental health issues, they have a tendency to isolate. I know that even with myself, whenever I'm stressed out about something or feeling overwhelmed, my first instinct is to want to isolate. But that's when you really need to reach out to friends, try to involve yourself into some type of social atmosphere, whether that be some type of group or, a hobby, that practices a certain hobby, just something where you get out there and you're amongst family and friends. And, by all means, make sure those are healthy, non-toxic family and friends, because sometimes we have people in our lives that are toxic. So make sure that you surround surround yourself with people that are supportive of you and what you're trying to do. And that leads into number 7, get some support. I know for myself, when I have had events in my life that I guess threw me into a depressive period, I sought out not only one-on-one counseling, but I also went to small support groups. And I think those are really great too. They're safe havens, or should be safe havens, where you can talk about what's bothering you, or whether it be something that has just happened yesterday at work, or if it's something that happened when you were in your childhood, to talk out those things and what happened, how it affected you. Again, that's how AA got started, basically. AA is basically a form of support group, but there are others. There's Celebrate Recovery. There's, just would depend on whatever you feel like your issue is. There's got to be some type of group out there for it. And not only should you be, I would say, not only should you just be going to an actual physical group that's at an actual location, but there's also online support. But I wouldn't say depend on one. Well, because if I say online support, I wouldn't use online support as my main means of group support. I would also be going to some type of actual, group in, offline as well, because I feel like, that you get more out of that, and then, just use your online support as a supplemental means of support as well. But the only thing that is really good about online support is, well, I won't say the only thing, but one of the many things that is good about online support is anonymity. That's important to some people. But yeah, definitely looking into that as well. Talk to your doctor about medication. Now, again, from my standpoint, I lean more towards natural means and, not getting prescription medications involved, because a lot of them have side effects, and some antidepressant medications even cause weight gain. But however, if you feel like that's the best intervention for you, or or intervention that you want to partake of, I guess, that's on you. That's your business, basically. That's just, but of course, medical intervention is just another way to manage your depression. But like I said, as I did in the other, previously, whatever medication you decide to take, or your physician suggests for you, really research the pharmacology of whatever you're taking, just so that the ins and outs of it, what foods or other drugs that you may be taking may impact its effectiveness. Can you build a tolerance of it? Are there certain things that you can't eat or drink with it? What else is there? Do you take it on an empty stomach? Do you take it on a full stomach? Does this, me taking this medication cause other health problems? Things like that are things that you definitely need to know. And does, of course, and also look into, does this, because this happens with a lot of antidepressant medications, is that, will this ever stop working? What do I do when this stops working? Because again, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because from people that I've talked to that have, especially if they, take medication for depression, they often have to change. And sometimes it doesn't, you may change medications more than once within the same year, or you may be changing medications every year. You just never really know. So definitely study the pharmacology on any prescription drugs that you may be taking. Okay, stay focused. Research shows that continuing to work during a depressive episode actually has more benefits than taking time off. And I would say that definitely works for me. Like if I'm, depressed, because I know I can recall a depressing period that I went through many, many years ago. And like work was my therapy, because when I was able to throw myself into my work and, something that was productive, and something positive, because it did, create income for me. It took my mind off that depression for at least the time I was at work. Not saying that, whatever caused the depression didn't, come into my mind from time to time, because it definitely did. But me having some type of, task to complete, or knowing that I had to meet some type of deadline, it did take my mind off of it. But if you ever get to a place where you feel like your depression is so bad, or any other mental health illness for that matter, is so bad that it's taking your focus away from the task at hand, like say at work or at school, definitely seek out help. please do that. Whether it be calling the mental health hotline that your job provides so that you can, get mental health assistance, or if that's going to the mental health facility on, a campus at school, if you're in college, seek out the help. And also, and I'll say this too, but that goes back to visiting with friends or getting some support. It's also good to have some type of accountability partner to help you, to check on you from time to time, because sometimes, and I've heard people describe it that deal with depression, is that they kind of lose, whenever some people are depressed or dealing with other mental health issues, they lose some sense of self-awareness. And like, for instance, they may have been, they may be laying in bed, and then before they know it, 3 days have passed and they haven't really moved, or they've only gotten up to use the bathroom and done nothing else. So just have some type of accountability partner, or a really good friend that's going to, or relative that's going to check on you just to make sure that you're okay. Try to stay hopeful. Sometimes learning or even faking a bit of optimism has been shown to help manage depression. I guess fake it till you make it. And also, I would suggest having a gratitude list. Like, just have a list of things you're thankful for. Or some people, they just take the first 5 minutes out of their day to reflect on what they're thankful for. They're thankful for, for having a home, for having people that support them. They're thankful for having, a great job or starting their own, whatever it may be. Just have things that you're thankful for. And, and that just goes along with staying hopeful. And just to get down to some of the biology behind depression and other issues as well, a lot on a biological level or even on a hormonal level, depression also involves an imbalance of serotonin and or dopamine. And your depression or and other mental health issues aren't only controlled by these hormones. These hormones also can cause other things to go on with your body as well. For instance, if you are not receiving or let's say you have a serotonin deficiency, that can cause decreased life I cannot talk. Expectancy, sorry. Because serotonin, usually when you have a serotonin deficiency, you don't have as much energy. So you don't have that same vigor and drive and just the energy you need to get through your day-to-day life. It also may result in decreased life expectancy, diabetes, increase in stroke, sleep apnea. There's some more here. Gynecological irregularities, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Let's see. Over 95% of adult diabetics have serotonin deficiencies too, I see. Let me see here. Let me move this up a little bit more because there's some other things on here that I noticed. Okay. But if your dopamine is not well regulated, or if there's a deficiency in dopamine, it can result in addiction, Alzheimer's, anorexia, anxiety, Asperger's syndrome, attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism, and various other things. Because the thing is, whenever you're having mental health issues, because what often happens is that people, they seesaw between serotonin, too much or not enough serotonin, or too much or not enough dopamine. So, though any of those can cause a variety of depression and other mental health illnesses. Because if you see here, there's dementia, depersonalization disorder, depression, just other various GABA, which I believe that's an amino acid dysfunction. So just various things that are caused by, like I said, imbalance in serotonin and dopamine. Okay. And amino acids, that's another form of therapy for depression and other mental health issues or mental health illnesses is amino acid therapy. Amino acid therapy also helps with losing weight and other health issues as well. But for instance, it says here amino acid deficiency symptoms. Let's see. Let's go back here. Well, these are the amino acids in your body. The diphenyl. I can't even pronounce it. Phenylalanine or something like that. I can't even pronounce it. There's tyrosine, L-tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For if you have a serotonin deficiency, and I have taken this myself, so I can definitely vouch for it. I have taken L-tryptophan, 5-HTP, and tyrosine. Those are the ones that I've taken personally. I've taken other amino acids too, but they were like in what you call it, a protein supplements for, like, especially when I'm doing weights. Most protein supplements already have, some of them don't. I'm not sure, but I think most protein supplements, or powders, I should say, already have amino acids in them. It just depends on how it's formulated. But I do take amino acid supplements as well, and other hormones and stuff. What L-tryptophan does? L-tryptophan is a precursor to 5-HTP and melatonin. So basically, when you take those, it starts at L-tryptophan, then it converts to the amount of 5-HTP or melatonin that your body needs, which help with serotonin levels. Whenever you're not getting enough serotonin, you have a tendency to crave sweets, alcohol, starch, or simple carbs, I should say, chocolate, ecstasy, marijuana, tobacco. Wow. It also results in low self-esteem, OCD-like behaviors, irritability, sleep problems. And that goes back to, if you're taking L-tryptophan, it does convert into melatonin, which you can use towards, you can take melatonin to help you sleep better at night. Melatonin also resets your circadian rhythm so you can have a better night's sleep. Let's see, afternoon and evening cravings. Because me personally, like in the mornings, because see, the thing is too, 5-HTP is also an appetite suppressant. So I take 5-HTP in the morning, and I take it usually like around 1, 2 o'clock, usually after lunch at work. And that helps me suppress my appetite, or make me not crave things I shouldn't be eating. That's not the only thing I used as a means to suppress my appetite. I also juice and, try to, like I said, eat as much or as many raw vegetables I can, whether it be through juicing them or eating a salad, because I find that the more vegetables I eat, the less sweet cravings that I have. Let's see here. What else? Just looking for some more here. Tyrosine, I take that because, for one, I have hypothyroidism, and tyrosine is really good for people that have, excuse me, especially if you have underactive thyroid. It's really good for that. And you're having that sluggishness. Tyrosine will give you that improved mental focus and energy that you need. Because I can tell that when I take tyrosine, I feel like I'm more energetic, and that I'm more focused on whatever the task at hand may be. I don't really have issues with depression. Yeah, it does help with concentration. I can vouch for that. You can take tyrosine up to, well, we'll get to that in a second, but I usually take my tyrosine in the morning when I'm taking it. And as a matter of fact, I just reminded myself I'm actually out of it, and I need to take more of it. I mean, well, get some more, but yeah, tyrosine is definitely great if you're, especially if you're feeling sluggish in the morning and so forth. But hopefully, if you, improve your diet and, like I said, again, the 5-HTP or the L-tryptophan, they should help with those issues. But, which will also aid you in, not only, improve your mental health, your mental well-being, but it'll also improve your cravings, cravings for things that you shouldn't be eating as well, so that you can function, more efficiently. Okay. Let me just put this on here. And this is some other, there's GABA, another amino acid. Again, and it just, this third column talks about the things that you have a tendency to crave whenever you're deficient in GABA. But whenever you take GABA, it does promote calmness and relaxation. GABA can also be used as a sleep aid along with melatonin. So that's something you may want to consider if you're having problem sleeping, which a lot of people with depression and other mental health issues experience. So that's just something that you may want to consider taking. Glutamine, that's more or less, and that does work too. I do take glutamine from time to time. That also helps with sweet cravings. So if you're having cravings for sweets, try glutamine. Usually comes in a powder. At least I take it as a powder. That's It works pretty good for sweet cravings. Okay. Okay, and this is good. That goes back to what I was talking about, the amino acid therapy chart. Um, Again, it goes over the things that you may experience. If you're low in serotonin, you may have afternoon or evening cravings. You may be experiencing negativity, depression, worry, anxiety, low self-esteem, social anxiety, obsessive thoughts or behaviors, hyperactivity, controlling, perfectionism, winter blues, irritability, rage, parentheses PMS, dislike for hot weather, panic attacks, phobias, small spaces, snakes, blah, 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 and suicidal thoughts. And those are usually from serotonin deficiencies. Typically what people, crave, and it's kind of like the last one, but this goes more in depth about what you can, in like the dosage of the different supplements you can take. So these are the substances used, from foods to drugs to prescription drugs. However, you can also take amino acid like 5-HTP, and this gives, recommends a dosage. L-tryptophan, and it even tells you what time of day that you can take it. And the neurotransmitters provided, serotonin, and it should improve your positive outlook, emotional stability, self-confidence, emotional and mental flexibility, and sense of humor, which we all need a sense of humor. Okay, let me go down the list here on this one. And again, if you are having issues with sleeping at night, or it's hard for you to get to bed, your doctor may want to prescribe you some type of sleep aid. Some people do take Benadryl. Me personally, I cannot take Benadryl. I can't. Whenever I take Benadryl, it makes me feel just really loopy and out of my head, so I do not take that. However, you do have the option of taking melatonin, or you can take L-tryptophan or 5-HTP. Like I said, 5-HTP was a precursor to... I'm sorry, wait a minute. L-tryptophan is a precursor to 5-HTP and melatonin. So, but some people do take L-tryptophan in conjunction with melatonin as a sleep aid at night. However, L-tryptophan, I'm going to tell you now, you know how it is, because most people know that turkey has tryptophan in it. And you know how you eat, whenever you eat Thanksgiving dinner or eat turkey in general, after you get done eating it, you're usually very sleepy. And, so just be aware, because this has happened to me before. You may get so sleepy that you're also still sleepy when you wake up in the morning. You're drowsy and live on the groggy side. So, just kind of experiment. Start with the lowest dosage of L-tryptophan. If you're taking it as a sleep aid, that is. Start out with the lowest dose of L-tryptophan first, and gradually increase until you reach, a level where you feel like it's working for you. And the same thing you can do with melatonin as well. Me personally, I know that when I took melatonin, and I still take melatonin to this day, because melatonin has other benefits besides just being a sleep aid, which is which is the reason why I don't only take it for sleep. I take it for other, because it also helps balance your other hormones as well. But yeah, it's really great for that. And I think really melatonin, along with another supplement I'm going to talk about, has really helped me in my weight loss, because it helped my body do the things that it wasn't doing before due to lack of sleep. So it's really helped me there. Okay, catecholamines, I think that's how you pronounce it. Cravings for stimulation from sugar, chocolate, caffeine, cocaine, and meth. Wow. They're putting all those in the same category, but hell, sugar is one hell of a drug. If you're low in I can't say it, catecholamines, you'll also be depressed, lack of energy, lack of drive, easily bored, lack of focus, ADHD. And the second column here is what you usually crave whenever you are deficient in catecholamines. And that's where tyrosine comes in, which as I said before, I take tyrosine. I believe I take 500 milligrams, I think. And I take mine in the morning. And it says also that taking omega-3 oil or fish oils really helps with that. I haven't done that before, but I may check that out too. And it helps with alertness, energy, mental focus, drive, enthusiasm. The only thing that you do have to watch with L-tyrosine that it can, because it can, when you're first getting used to it, it can raise your blood pressure. Because I noticed that it seemed like whenever I first started taking tyrosine, I started having headaches. Now, eventually, yeah, my body adjusted to it, but just take it to your level of comfort. And like I said before, start out with the lowest dosage, because I've even heard of people going as low as 250 milligrams of tyrosine, and I think that's what I started doing initially. I think I took like half of the pill or the capsule or whatever that I had, and then I eventually increased it to 500, which is where I'm at now. But again, start with the lowest dose and just kind of work your way up till you feel like it's working for you. Don't start at the highest dose thinking that more is better. Just start with the lowest dose and gradually work your way up. Okay, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this or not. Okay, but another supplement that really, and it's a mineral that helps with depression and other mental health issues and just anything going on with your body, period, is magnesium. Me personally, I take 1,000 milligrams of magnesium every night before I go to bed. It helps me sleep. It helps me because magnesium regulates so many functions within our bodies. And you can even take, you don't have to just take it when you go to bed. You can even take it during the day too. But just keep in mind that there are different forms of magnesium, and each form of magnesium has a different effect on the body. Like, for instance, I know for a fact that you can take magnesium threonate. I think it's THEORONATE. That one's good to take during the daytime because it gives you mental clarity and just helps you focus better and everything else. But yeah, I take magnesium. Yeah, it's very calming. It relaxes you. It it helps your body respond to stress better. So many benefits to magnesium that I just couldn't possibly name in this one live stream tonight. And I'll probably have a whole live stream dedicated to magnesium in the future. But it definitely just helps your body and with its processes and so forth. And again, like I said, there's been several studies done, and it's and how it helps with your a mental health issue, especially depression. Okay, let me go to the next slide here. Okay, and it says here effective magnesium supplementation on depression in depressed patients with magnesium deficiency, a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial. I believe this came off of PubMed or one of those type of some type of medical journal site. But yeah, it says here magnesium is involved in the pathophysiology of some psychological disorders, including affective disorder such as depression. In the majority of studies, a significant relationship has been observed between magnesium deficiency and depression, and that's one thing too. A lot of people that have depression also have magnesium deficiency, and the thing is with magnesium deficiency is that it can be difficult to keep it in your body. Not only do you need to be eating magnesium-rich foods like vegetables and other things, you also keep in mind that stress strips the body of magnesium. Some prescription drugs, especially like drugs for high blood pressure, strip the body of magnesium. There's other drugs too. Some drugs, you can't even take magnesium with, which goes back to, like I said, really studying the pharmacology of whatever you're taking to see what you can and can't take with it. Because the thing is, the very thing that you're taking prescription drug for may be remedied or alleviated by taking magnesium. You just have to do the research. That's how I've been able to really make some changes some real changes in my own health, journey and weight loss, is that I've really dug and done the research as far as what worked for me, what could work for me, and just really dug and researched it. And, that's how I've had a lot of breakthrough in, various areas. So that's what I really encourage everyone to do. Hopefully this gives you some insight as far as what you can do, as far as, better handling your mental well-being. You may not have a mental illness right now, or maybe you may have it and not know it. But my thing is just to give the information, get it out there to you. And I'm not, there's other very helpful YouTube channels out there. I would strongly advise that you also simply just type in amino acid therapy on YouTube, or if you have a podcast, some type of podcast search engine, type that in, and just there's several podcasts and videos out there about how you can manage, just to kind of test yourself to see what you may be dealing with, and kind of experiment, but like I said, experiment carefully. Or if you don't feel confident that you can do that carefully, definitely seek out medical supervision, which this disclaimer that we have here. Let me put it up here real quick before we go off tonight. It's just so I can say I did it. States, yeah. But yeah, definitely seek out medical supervision, or, that's my legal, my legal thing that I have to include on my videos. However, just do your research, because now when I was trying out different supplements and different things, I wasn't supervised by a doctor. I probably, and that's what, that's my personal experience. I wasn't supervised by a doctor. I just read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of videos. And, I kind of like went by my symptoms as far as how I was feeling versus how I felt after taking a particular supplement or eating a certain types of foods and so forth. So whatever works best for you, just let your body and how you feel be your guide. On that note, I am going to go ahead and close out. I've been on for over an hour, but hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully you'll be empowered to go out and do more research and just whatever you can to get your body to where it needs to be health-wise, whether that's losing weight, mental well-being, depression, or avoid getting depressed, avoid having to deal with depression or any other mental health issues. And just, if I want to reiterate again, you don't have to have a mental health illness necessarily. You can just be dealing with a rough patch in your life. Anybody can be thrown into a state of poor mental health or poor mental well-being. So you don't have to actually have an illness or be diagnosed with one to deal with it proactively. So that is all I'm going to say tonight. I don't want to ramble on forever. Good night. Peace.